John, we got to
Hey.
update those photos in the intro. Those are all
Those are
ace.
from 2007, 2008,
Yeah,
2005.
good stuff. Good
History of
memories,
talking
man.
metal.
Good to see you. We got a great show tonight. We have. Well, why don't you tell us who's on the show tonight, John?
Okay, well, we have an amazing lineup. We're going to start out with somebody that I've been a fan of forever, Riki Rackman, original uh, gangster from the Headbangers Ball. I love this guy. He's the coolest. And then we've got Alex Grossi, a friend of mine from Quiet Riot. And then we've got Ricky Warwick from The Almighty, from Thin Lizzy, and from Black Star Riders.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show and a lot of bang for your buck tonight, all within 90 minutes. We got Ricky backstage. We're going to bring him on in just a second. But a big shout out to Hank and Dash Vodka. I'm going to be drinking some of this in a bit. I don't think I'm quite. Oh, there. I got to get the. Oh, there we go. I'm not quite ready for my first shot of this yet. But Dash Vodka. So smooth.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready and I'm
Very
going for it
smooth.
right now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Somebody
so
wrote
Mark,
on Facebook, you drink Dash vodka and you don't get a hangover. I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna attempt that tonight.
well, very good, very good. I love Dash Vodka. It's great. Hank and Rini and the team at Dash are unbelievable, and I love them A because they're my cousins, but B because they're with Dash Vodka. So dual reason. And
Yeah.
Mark, I've got some main questions for you, but I want to show you something right before I get into
Yeah,
it.
go for it.
Check
What do you got?
this out.
Toy?
Just when you thought I couldn't get another guitar, look what I got. A brand
Yeah,
new
very astronomy.
blue
Yeah.
metallic Les Paul, very astronomy looking. And here's the deal: this is an Epiphone, and look how cool the Epiphone headstock is. They call it the Kalamazoo headstock. It looks basically just like the old Epiphone headstocks back in the day, and it's very very similar to a Gibson headstock. And how cool is this guitar? And check this out: it's got a special cutaway on the back, which of course most Les Pauls don't have. And it's got an asymmetrical neck, and it's just really, really cool. And I can't wait to bring this out on tour with Ace Frehley and Like It in 2021 when touring starts back up again, because we have shows booked, and who knows if they're going to stay booked and or if they're going to get postponed again. But we'll see what happens. No one knows yet.
Right on. Well, we hope they happen, John, and when they do, I will definitely be there rocking out with your band Like It, and of course the great Ace Frehley, who you will be opening up for and you do work with. So we got to get Ricky on, but real quick, this is not streaming on my Facebook, John.
Okay. See, I didn't know that, and I just learned today that you are in Facebook jail, and I want to ask you why.
I wish I could answer that question. I honestly have no idea. No arguments, no fights, no political rants, no nothing. I really have no clue. No, scandalous pictures of myself. No, nothing. I really, it's a complete mystery. But I'm glad we're streaming on your Facebook, and we have this going on YouTube. And of course, as always, the audio will be repackaged as a podcast on Talking Metal. Please subscribe to Talking Metal on Apple Podcasts, guys, and to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Talking Metal. And so I don't know, John. I really don't know what I did.
Wow. See, I thought that they would give you a specific reason why you were in Facebook jail. Now, what does that mean? That you log on to Facebook and what happens?
Well, I can log on and I can even post comments, but I can't. There's certain things I can't do. Like I can't post in a group, so I'm like banned from posting in groups. So again, it's weird. I don't know, and whatever. I could care less, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that is too bad. I'm going to go on my Facebook right now and just make sure that we are in fact on.
Cool.
Let's check it out. But yeah, I'm so psyched that Ricky is here, and why don't we bring Ricky on sooner than later, right?
Yeah, let's bring him on. The show that really was so important to me as a young adult was MTV's Headbangers Ball. It was so influential, and they started it before Ricky, but it wasn't until Ricky came on that I really feel like it found its voice. And here he is, Ricky Rackman. How are you, Ricky?
I was just banned from MySpace, so I completely feel your guys. Oh, I'm
Ricky,
doing
how are you feeling? I know you were sick for a while. Can you talk to us about how you're feeling, how you're doing, how the recovery's going?
well. I got the C word. I was the guy that said if I get COVID, it'll be like the flu, and it'll be gone for in a day or so. And I was like, rode my motorcycle all over the country, but that's not how I got it. And I got COVID-19, and it kicked my ass, and it was the gnarliest thing ever. And the thing, like weird things happen. I never lost my taste, never lost my smell. Uh, Chills were unbearable. But the thing that I think that everybody's going to start to learn is there's some real neurological effects with the brain that happen with COVID, and I was screwed up to begin with. But I mean, I'm not going to lie, it was really bad. It wasn't the flu, and I was gone for like two
Wow.
weeks, and day was delirious, and I was saying random things, and now, like, certain things that I used to eat, I don't like anymore, which is really weird. I mean,
Man,
because I like Cheetos and cake, and I don't anymore. But it was really, really weird. And it's mentally, COVID is really weird. But, I'm going to do a podcast about it because I know when you talk about it, all of a sudden, when everybody found out that I had COVID and I talked about what it was about, I lost 600 followers and was called a libtard because I got sick.
Oh
oh
wow.
my,
Yeah. Well, we know that this hits everyone, so we're glad you're doing better and you look great.
yeah.
Um,
You
and
lose a lot of weight on COVID. Thank you, COVID.
on. Right on. And let's get right into this because I was watching your Instagram the other day and you made kind of a big announcement. At least for me, it's big as a fan of the Headbangers Ball and what you did on that show. I got really excited when you mentioned that you're planning to do a new show, which is going to feature hard rock and loud rock music. Can you talk about what you're planning and where you are in the stages of planning this?
Yes, here's the deal. People that really know me know that I'm like a full blown workaholic. I have a lot of jobs that I do, and sometimes I say things that I want to do, and they don't ever happen. Very rarely, very rarely. And everybody's been saying, "Dude, do the Headbangers Ball." And what people don't understand is that I want to do it. I mean, I told MTV I would do it for free for years, but nothing ever happened. There's a couple, I have an ego. So I think, hey, I'm Ricky Rackman. I'm good at talk radio. Why can't I? And like people weren't returning. Sirius XM was no interested in me. VH1 had no interest in me. And so I decided this year, and I'm not putting anything down with either of those because I happen to like Eddie. I happen to like Jose a lot. But I was just like, you know what? Fuck. Can I swear?
Sure.
Yes, yes.
Because look at my shirt. Michael.
Oh,
Fucking McDonald. I
No,
like
that,
it. That's great.
best era of the Doobie Brothers, by the way.
Michael McDonald fucks chicks. Okay, so anyway, I want to do the show so bad. So I said, look, in 2021, I am going to do a metal video show. And if it doesn't go on in 2021, I will never appear in radio, TV. I will completely retire and I'll get a regular job doing something. I don't know what I do. I mean, basically, I'm going to do it. So somebody came to me and they said, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to put it up one day. It's going to be free. You don't have to join Patreon. You don't have to join anything. And we're going to do it legit. With my podcast, with the clubs, with my merchandise company, with everything, I do almost everything all by myself. So this is something that I needed help. And I decided my goal is to do music videos. I don't want to do it in front of a green screen with skulls and flames or something. I want to do something a little bit different. And the thing is, I want to do it legit. So while everybody's saying, play this video, play that video, play this video, I have somebody helping me that I will announce in like a couple days. And we're trying to do it legit and get licensing on all these videos. And the problem is when Ball was out and we were playing all these great videos, MTV was making money. The labels weren't. Now the labels don't have money. And for us to play like an older, great metal video, these labels want money. And I'm like, dude, this is like promotion. A couple of heavy hitters, we can have their videos. So the goal is I'm going to do a video show. I personally believe it'll be on sooner than later. I think it'll be on, if not February, March, one night I'm going to be playing new videos. I'm going to be playing old videos. I'm going to be playing popular videos. As soon as I said this, I mean, I just said I'm going to do the show, and I already got bad reviews for the show. But people were like, well, you're going to be playing Lamb of God, aren't you? And I'm like, well, yeah. And they're like, well, then somebody else says, well, I hope you're playing Seether and 3 Days Grace. And I was like, well, oh, well, you're going to play Warrant. Oh, well, you're going to play Cannibal Corpse. Well, and everybody's got these different opinions on what it is. And,
Right.
you know, right now, which is so stupid, that people are so divided by genres. You know, if I say, you know, I listen to a lot of heavier stuff. And if I'm listening to Code Orange and then I listen to, you know, Skid Row, Slave to the Grind, it's like the only reason I listen to those songs is because I really like them. It's not going to be a show based on just videos that I like. I'm going to put on videos that I think can please everybody. I'm hoping somebody that really likes Gojira might also see a video from, you know, Faster Pussycat that they really like. I mean,
Right on.
The thing is, like, there's like the people that are like the 50s and 60-plus-year-old that it's like, dude, Dawkins is selling more tickets than Code Orange. What are you talking about? Which is completely not true. Nothing against Dawkins. You
Right.
know, the older metal fans, for some reason, are so negative. And then Code Orange is an example. They're like, hey, will you host the Mudbangers Ball for us? I'm like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, you know, I hear from somebody from Every Time I Die, will you host this show? I'm like, hell yes, I will. I'm doing something with Ted from Death Angel, like I think in a couple days. And I like music in all genres. The only that is I have is I don't want any ballads. And I prefer not to have something that's currently on the radio, except there is one video that's a huge video that we are going to be playing, and there's reasons we're playing it. And you know, it's not RIKI's show. If it was RIKI's show, I think people would be like kind of bummed out because it would be really all over the place because I listen to everything. But it's something that everybody needs. And what I really am hoping happen is, and I know that's hard to do today, is I really want everybody to think like, okay, RIKI's going to do the show, The Ball, next Saturday at 10 o'clock. Let's all sit around our laptops or our phones, or better yet, put it on our TV and let's all watch it live. I'm not going to be on it very much. I just really want to get to these videos. I'm going to talk openly on it. I'm not going to play anything that I think sucks, but I might play bands that aren't my favorite because I think that they have a place in it. This is the first time I've ever done a music video show where I actually got to pick the videos. And some
Right.
of the videos,
Right.
the videos that I'm playing are not what I would play on the RIKI show, but they're going to like them because as much as somebody's really going to like, you know, Municipal Waste, somebody's really going to like LA Guns. And the other thing is a lot of the like hardcore bands and the heavy music of today really like I selfishly I call it the Cat House era, really like those Cat House bands. But the older fans have a hard time grasping onto newer music, which is a shame. I listen to bands.
Right.
I happen to really like thrash music. And I'll listen to a lot of some of these newer thrash bands, and I'm like, is this old Exodus or is this Municipal Waste? You know, and then I'm driving and I still like, you know, all my Cat House bands too. So I really want to do it. Now, if things don't work with getting it on this place that I'm supposed to have it, what I will do is I will play every freaking video that I want. It'll get taken off immediately, and I'll just go full outlaw. At the last minute, I'll tell where it is, and I'll play every single video without getting licensing or anything. I'll just do it because I
Wow.
promise.
So Ricky,
Well,
will this be on like an app of some sort? Is that the plan that you could watch like on Apple TV or something like that, like you said, on your screen?
It will be on an existing app,
Okay.
and I don't know, but I'm hoping it's going to be very accessible. The only thing I've asked is, and I'm doing all this for free, of course. The only thing I'm asking is that nobody has to pay and that you don't have to become a member of anything. And we're trying to work out the particulars at first. You know, there's a lot of things that people sometimes get mad at me for not doing the things that and when I'm in agreement with them. Like, I want to do a metal show. I want to play old stuff. I want to play new stuff. I want to play heavy music. I want to play videos. And the thing is, let me tell you something. Rap bands, and I think today's rap, I like hip hop. I don't like today's rap at all. But
Right.
they're doing all the videos that we did back then, the partying, the pools, the having fun, the having a great time. putting these videos out and people are watching them. And I think if all these bands are putting out videos, and there's some new bands that are putting out great videos that we'll never see. And I want to combine a little old, a little new, a little thrash, a little 80s, a little heavy, a little everything. I mean, people more than telling me what they like, people are just so ready to tell everybody what they don't like. And if you don't like the video, let's hang out for a second because there'll be a good one that you like next.
Wow, this is exciting news, Ricky. We cannot wait for the big announcement as to where this is going to debut. Do you know when we'll be getting that info? You said soon, right?
Well, I talked to the people that are helping me with this, and what their job is to get permission to play the certain videos. You know, the only thing I said is like my all-time favorite band, like my all-time favorite band is Motorhead. And when I said on Headbangers Ball, and I said, can I pick some videos on my birthday? And the only one they played was Motorhead. So I know I got a permission for a Motorhead video. So that's a there. But you know, there won't, you know, everybody's like, you know, you guys, I know I don't like to focus on the negative, but occasionally I'll get negative stuff. And the stuff that people say is so preposterous. It's like, oh, I know your show's going to suck because all you ever played on Headbangers Ball was, you know, Poison. I'm like, dude, do you know that we probably played more Napalm Death than Poison videos? It's like we played everything on Headbangers Ball. And even I put down Headbangers Ball. When I go back and look at it, I'm like, oh my God, look at this Michael Monroe video, followed by, you know, LA Guns, followed by Cro-Mags. You know, I mean, it was, I talked down about that show, which really didn't deserve it. It was good.
Yeah, the diversity on Headbangers Ball, especially in the later years, was really wide. And I know some people have criticized it because they were like, oh well, when Headbangers Ball started playing the same music videos that 120 Minutes was playing, that's where they lost their way. I'm sure you've heard that, but you're saying that diversity is something you like.
What do you do when you get Ministry NWO? You know, what do you do with Just One Fix by Ministry? That's going to play in both. My gripe was as soon as a song is played in the daytime on MTV, you don't play it. So you don't play Alice in Chains Rooster if it's being played 8 times a day. And if Motley Crue Home Sweet Home is on 24 hours a day on MTV, you don't play it on Headbangers Ball. Maybe you play Shout at the Devil. You know, my goal was, I always thought Headbangers Ball should be a little outlaw and should be the stuff that you don't see during the day. And that's what I'm hoping to do now. I like to use the word outlaw. I like it to be the stuff that you're not getting everywhere else. And there's nothing better. My compliment is a kid coming up to me saying, oh my God, I really loved Megadeth. And I was not really that into them. And then somebody saying, you know, I was really into whatever and like new stuff. I mean, I love music so much. And I wish, and nobody else is doing the show, and it will truly be metal, and it'll be a lot of different genres.
Cool. Well, we cannot wait for that, Ricky. And I want to let John ask a question, but one real quick question for you before I throw it over to John. It's always been rumored that Axl Rose was the one who helped you get that MTV Headbangers Ball gig. Is that true?
100%.
How did that play out?
Well, he called up MTV. First I said, I'd like to host Headbangers Ball. And he's like, I'll see what I can do. So he called MTV and he said, hey, my friend Ricky, and a lot of people knew me because I was the young kid that opened up the Cat House, which, by the way, is still the greatest rock and roll club ever. So Axl called MTV and he says, hey, Ricky Rackman would like to do it. And I think Doug Goldstein's manager helped. And when Axl is the biggest rock star in the world and he says, you should suggest this guy, they go, okay. And then Axl's like, okay, they said they auditioned. Do you want me to go with you? And I'm like, okay. And I'd never been on business class before. And he slummed it by business. And I like flew business. He got the hotel at the Mayflower. We stayed there for a couple of days. I went to, and I was so horrible. I watched the old shows and I was so bad because I did not come from a TV background. I did not come from a radio background. I did not come from a broadcasting background. My background is the dude that opened the sleaziest rock and roll club ever. So I think I got it. But Axl, I have no problem saying that my success or whatever success I had can be attributed to Guns N' Roses, and of course all the other bands like Faster Pussycat and stuff like that. But I mean, in Mooresville, I have 2 offices that just do nothing but sell Cat House shirts, and I know that's because Axl wore it in the Paradise City video. So now we see Tom Morello and John 5 and all these newer people wearing the Cat House shirts because they sell, and I know a lot of that has to do with Guns N' Roses. So I have no problem in saying that I owe a lot to Guns N' Roses, and it's good that it's nice that they helped me.
You ever hear from any of the Guns guys? Have you been in touch with them?
When I was sick, Duff texted to see how I was. I occasionally talk to Slash because I bought one of the Gibson Les Paul Slash guitars, and nice. I don't know how to play guitar. I just really want to. And so it was so fun. A lot of guitar. I had like Mark Morton from Lamb of God, all these music, Ryan Roxy, all these people, Gilby, all these people telling me like, okay, you got to learn this. You got to learn this. I hear from Slash occasionally. I hear from Duff occasionally. I love Axl. Me and him were very, very tight. Haven't heard from him in decades. My goal is to go to New Zealand in November and see Guns N' Roses and hopefully touch base with Axl because I just haven't talked to him in decades.
Cool.
Nice. So, Ricky, before we switch gears onto a new topic, I do want to mention that you hit on something that my friends and I basically we're doing what you're talking about having happen with your new show. We looked forward to the Headbangers Ball when you were on. So we made sure that we were all home on midnight on Saturday night or whatever day that was on. And I love the fact that you want to turn this into an event where people now will say, look, I got to get to my computer because I want to watch Ricky's new show. And I think that's like that destination is really important. And I love that that's what you're doing.
I mean, I would love that somebody would say, hey, Ricky, we want to do this. We're going to give you a producer and a director. I mean, my podcast, everything I do, the reason stuff doesn't come out is it's me. It's just me, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But I like that idea, too. I mean, I think it would just be fun, and I want people to get in the habit. And, the reason I want to do it soon is a lot of times Saturday night, I'll be honest, I didn't really watch Headbangers Ball because I was going out on Saturday nights.
Right.
But what are we going to do? And nothing would make me happier if like a bunch of old friends got together and had some beers and watched the ball. And the show's going to be called The Ball. And I don't know where it's going to go after this one episode. My goal, if somebody said, would you do a heavy metal show once a week? I would love to. I would love to do it. I mean, this right now, what we're doing on Talking Metal, this is fun for me. This is the stuff that I really enjoy doing. I do have lots of other jobs that feel like work sometimes, but talking about rock and roll is like, that's what I really like to do,
Well, Ricky, I think that you really have credibility, and that's what I want to talk about is that, and I know you've told these stories so many times, but for our listeners, you were there booking bands. You ran the Cat House, and a lot of the bands that we like the Faster Pussycats, you were instrumental in giving these bands and bands of that type, of music, a place to actually get on stage. And then you were not only were you friends with the guys, but you ran like one of the coolest clubs, if not the coolest club in Hollywood.
Yeah, it was the coolest club in Hollywood. Tammy was my roommate from Faster Pussycat. Tammy, I would say to this day, we talk at least once a week still.
Nice.
The Cat House was not opened up. If you listen to Cat House Hollywood podcast, you'll hear all the stories. And the Cat House was not opened as a rock live venue. It was opened, and it sounds like such a cliche to be a guy like 50s and saying like, we met it to get free drinks and meet strippers. That was why it was open. And anybody that ever went to the Cat House in the day, I know this sounds so cliche, but the most beautiful women in the world were at the club doing the most decadent thing, and the rock stars were doing the same thing because nobody had cameras. I didn't allow cameras. And it was me and all my degenerate friends had a clubhouse. And those degenerate friends ended up becoming Guns N' Roses and Faster Pussycat and LA Guns and Jane's Addiction and I was so tight. I mean, I didn't let really crappy bands play the Cat House. It wasn't about who's going to sell the most tickets because we were so that if we had no band play, we'd sell out. So, you know, if I say, okay, hey, Alice in Chains are going to play and they want this band to open up for them called Mookie Blaylock. I don't know who they are, but they're their friends. And Mookie Blaylock ended up being Pearl Jam, you know, and puts Cat House in a song and it says, hey, we want to play the Cat House on Halloween. I'm like, okay. And our capacity was like 600. And every band, I mean, you name a band, they played the Cat House. And, you know, there were things because I was so wasted back then. I didn't remember when Vince Neil and Axl Rose sang together on stage. You know, all those big stories, the feuds, they started at the Cat House, you know, and I was creating something not to get famous, not to be like, I'm Ricky Rackman. I'm not, like I tell everybody, I'm not a fucking journalist. I'm not at all. I created a place that we could hang out at. And because I think the premises of it was to have fun, that's why it was so successful. And I mean, you know, I'm still selling Cat House shirts, you know, and it's the 35th anniversary and I'd love to do something. And people still talk about the Cat House. I mean, I have the word Cat House tattooed on me twice. People send me pictures of tattooing the Cat House name on it. There is nothing flattering. I'm more proud of the Cat House than Headbangers Ball.
Well, so Ricky, let me ask you now. You've moved to North Carolina from Hollywood, and what is there like a heavy metal scene where you are? Do you still go see bands? You know, and my question is, do you ever think of putting another club like this together? Is there? I mean, I know I'd love to go to it.
Well, I go to see whenever bands play here, you know, I'll go. You know, when the last live show, other than Code Orange, the last live band I saw was Jackal. Because whenever they come to Charlotte, I'll go see them. As far as local, I've seen a couple local bands that I like. As far as opening a Cat House, the only way I would ever open a Cat House if it was a bar that was small that always played killer music, similar to maybe a Duff's in Brooklyn or something like that. And then maybe occasionally we get a band to do something, but I would never open another live venue. I mean, and especially now, let's be honest, you know, I try to do a Cat House tour. I really wanted to do a Cat House tour. And, you know, the first two bands that I started with were, you know, okay, let's start with LA Guns and Faster Pussycat on this tour. And I wanted there to be dancers. I wanted to be everything. And I'm talking to LA Guns. I'm like, guys, I can't afford it. I'm not going to charge a $90 ticket to get in the Cat House. And everybody wanted so much money. And I'm like, that ain't the Cat House way. You know, I mean,
Right.
So everybody wants money instead of like, and it's like, well, we have to go on last because we drew 500. And then the other band goes, well, we drew 400. And I'm like, you're talking about the difference of 100 people. Okay. I care about drew 5,000. 500,000. I don't give a rat's ass if you drew 400 or 500. I like to create an experience that everybody talks about for years. And I think I did that 30th.
Yeah. And I did want to say that you had a great line. I believe it was on the Cat House Hollywood podcast where the guy from Junkyard was telling this incredible story about Axl dancing and setting off the alarm. And he said, just a typical night at the Cat House. And you came back and said, there's never a typical night at the Cat House, which I thought was amazing. And can you talk about the people that showed up there? I mean, David Lee Roth. Did David Bowie show up at the Cat House once?
One of the best episodes. And remember, like, I'll see people put out, not you guys, or where's the camera? You guys. I'll see people put podcasts that say, hear the story of the Axl Rose David Bowie feud. I'm like, hear the story. It was in my club in the DJ booth. So we have the DJ telling the story about the Axl Rose David Bowie story. And that was one of the best episodes of the Cat House Hollywood podcast. I mean, the Vince Neil Axl Rose feud started like this close to me. You know, the whole thing that happened with it was me. So I'm reading these podcasts. You want to hear the crazy story? I'm like, motherfucker, the story started right next to me. So that's why I put out the Cat House podcast.
Yeah.
It was not just that. There's an episode with Josh Richmond that he talks about this actor saying, Josh, you know a lot of people in LA. I'm waiting in line to get in the Cat House. Can you get me in? And it was Brad Pitt. Like, I didn't even know that. But wow. I mean, every rock star you could possibly think of, Robert Plant to Aerosmith to nobody from the Rolling Stones ever went, I think. But I mean, the locals were. I mean, it's everybody. It was everybody, and it was our world. I hired every security guard myself, so certain friends were allowed to get away with more stuff. It was anything you could imagine, and I might do stuff that pisses people off, but there's nobody that's ever said they went to the cat house in the old days and it wasn't great. So
Right. Right.
everybody. The truth is, there was no velvet ropes. And the reason that I opened the cat house is because I showed up at this trendy club in LA and I was stuck behind a velvet rope while all the cool people got in. And I was like, screw this. So if you want to come to cat house, get my security guard, Keith. One day somebody showed up and he said, hey, I'll give you $300 to get in front of the line. And Keith goes to the whole line. This guy wants to give me $300 to get in front of the line. Should I let him? And everybody's like, no. So he's like, get in the back. It was, that's all about it. I'm so proud that people still give a rat's ass about the cat house.
So are there big plans to celebrate the 35th anniversary?
I don't know. I mean, I've my whole career from podcasts to radio shows, because all these other things I've done by myself, I need somebody to help me. When I did Cat House Live, I did it with Live Nation, and it was not the way I want. Even though we had 15,000 people, it was not what I wanted at all, and it was no. But I want somebody to be smart enough to say, let's do a Cat House tour. You go to these little places. It's like a strip bar with these bands playing and tell stories and this like that. I'd love to do that. Of course, we don't know what the situation is. Maybe I do a live streaming thing. I want to do something. And, I'm not motivated by money. I like money a lot. But that's not my motivation. And my motivation is not to put Ricky Rackman's name out there. My honest to God motivation is to do something fun and cool and show people, ask Ricky Warwick. He knows about the Cat House. He was there all the time. Right. So I'd like to do something for the 35th anniversary. I'd also like to start doing more Cat House Hollywood podcasts, but
So it seems like you do a lot more of the Triple R podcast than you do the Cat House Hollywood. Is that right?
Yes, but I haven't done anything the first year. The Triple R was based on my radio show, the Triple R, which, if you don't know the story, I ended up beating up a DJ and going to jail and blew my whole radio career, went broke. But the Triple R, they're on. I've had, everybody on the Triple R, and even back in the radio show. I mean, crazy the things that happen. And I'm going to do new Triple Rs, and I am going to do more Cat House Hollywood podcasts. But I have Zach Wilde. As much as I want to put Zach on the Cat House Hollywood podcast, he didn't go there. So I put him on the Triple R. And at Pop Star Tiffany. I mean, it's just like but I really want to get in the habit of doing both. I have no sponsors, don't get paid to do it. I do the Cat House Hollywood podcast, write every word, do it all here, and send it out. And I need to do more. What a lot of people don't know is I have jobs. I host a nationally syndicated radio show called Racing Rocks that's heard all over America, where I talk about racing, play rock and roll. And I just hit the 19th anniversary of that. That's what my job is. And I have Cat House shirts. And I work for American Flat Track Racing. I do a lot of racing stuff. But the podcasts and stuff like that are done for fun. I mean, I know you guys, one of the reasons you guys are doing Talking Metal is because you love music and you like talking about it. If somebody said, hey, do a eating Cheetos, I'm like, sign me up.
Right on. And we do want to just recap the two podcasts. It's the Triple R podcast and the Cat House Hollywood podcast, guys. They're both up on Apple Podcasts. Highly recommend you subscribe to those. I loved your Steve Stevens interview on episode 24. Great stuff, Ricky.
That was really fun because you would think, we even talked about it after the interview, you'd think I'd know Steve Stevens, and I didn't. And I don't have anything written down. We just turned the mic on. The fun thing is, for the last couple of shows, Leah, my girlfriend who was on the TV show Ink Masters, has been on every episode, and people really like it when she's on it. And so she's now on the show with me as well. And, sometimes we do stuff where we don't talk about, the crazy thing is we were going to get married and we broke up, and we talked about that. And that was the number 2 most downloaded episode next to Duff McKagan. I'm like, wow. Wait a minute. Yeah. That threw me for a loop. I was like, really, you want to hear my personal crap? I don't really want to talk about it, but people like that one. So
Right on. Right on.
Ricky, before we switch gears again, I'm always on the tail end, and I always ask one more question about the previous subject. So here's something I was just curious on my own. When you were doing Headbangers Ball, were you still living in LA? And did you come here, do the show, and then fly back?
I lived in Los Angeles until I moved to North Carolina.
Wow.
So years ago, and and also when I did Headbangers Ball for the last year, I also did Loveline. I was hosting Loveline, the radio show. So
Right.
I would I'd leave on a Thursday, get there. They taped that show at midnight in LA. So I'd record Loveline live at 3 o'clock in the morning in New York, wake up 5 hours earlier, tape Headbangers Ball, go from the studio to the airport and fly back home, and then do Cat House and Bordello.
Wow.
Right on.
That is an unbelievable schedule that you have to maintain, week after week. One of the reasons I was asking is, were there any bars or clubs in New York that you liked? Because Mark and I were hanging out at the places, but I don't even know if Scrap Bar was open at that point. So
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I loved Scrap Bar. That would have
Right.
been my go-to. We went to Scrap Bar. We went to a couple Hells Angels bars. Scrap Bar. When I was in a band, Battery Club, we played Limelight, and
Nice.
but I think I would say that Scrap Bar, like if I'm in New York and I'm just going to go out at night, I would go to Scrap Bar because
Yeah.
Nice.
and then in later years, because I do these big charity motorcycle rides every year, I went to Duff, Brooklyn, and I kind of liked. I had a really good time there. I hung out there. They played good music. Leah got to drink Iron Maiden beers, so it was kind of fun.
Right on. And
Very good.
you did mention Loveline, so I do want to go there for a minute. It was with Dr. Drew, Adam Carolla. What happened with that? You had a good 3-year run, and there's rumors you and Adam didn't get along. Is that accurate?
I will tell you the story exactly how it happened. They used to have a guy named Poor Man that was the host of it. It was on for several years. I started becoming the host, and even though the show was on for like 8 years, when I became the host, they syndicated it nationally. It never got bigger. It had a 19 share in LA, which is huge. It was syndicated all over America. It was ridiculously huge. And then they came up with the idea of the Loveline TV show. And I thought, I don't think it's going to work as a TV show. So then they brought in Adam Carolla, who was a character on K-Rock, and he's a comedian. He's a real funny guy. So for a while, they brought on Adam Carolla, Dr. Drew, and me, and the three of us did the show for a while. And I was like, I don't know about this. So I said, guys, and I mean, I left a show where I was making the good 6 figures to start my own talk radio show called the Triple R. So I left K-Rock and I went to KLSX, which had Howard Stern in the morning and me in the afternoons. And I worked there until I beat up a DJ and lost everything. So yeah, I think he's great. I even spoke to Dr. Drew recently. So yeah, I mean, I think I was great on that show, and a lot of people like Adam on that show. It was a great show, and we had a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And let's also mention your work with Sharon Osbourne. You did a TV show with her. What did she? There was a rumor that she specifically wanted you on the show. Is that accurate?
I'd like to think so. I don't know if that's true or not. But I had done all the Rock of Love reunions, which were crazy. And then they decided to do Charm School. And it was Sharon, and it was going to be me. And they said, we need to bring in another girl. And I said, well, my friend Gilby's got this wife, Daniela, who started this company called Frankie B. And it's huge. And Daniela. So it was me, Daniela, and Sharon doing the show. I think the world of Sharon Osbourne. Of course, I think the world of Daniela. And I think the show sucked. I had no fun on that show. And I said, I'm done. I'm not going to do VH1 reality shows anymore. I think they're dumb. Okay, they're not that they were dumb. They weren't my cup of tea, so to speak.
Right.
And then, hey, would you do the show Daisy of Love? And I was like, no. And then they said, look, come in. We want you to be Ricky Rackman. You're going to be like the voice of reason. You're going to be on the show more than almost anybody else. They had me talk to Daisy, and I did Daisy of Love. And doing that show, Daisy of Love, was one of the most fun jobs. I would put that up there and probably the top 3 of the most fun jobs I ever had. I love doing Daisy of Love. So, and that was my reality show days.
Very good, very good. And Ricky's Ride is an annual thing, right? You do that every year?
Every year, biker. I ride really, really far. 11 years ago, my bucket list was, one day when I retire, I'm going to ride a motorcycle from California to New York. I've now done that 14 times. I've ridden in 4 countries. I've ridden in every single state except Alaska. 2 years ago, I rode my motorcycle. I left North Carolina and I rode my motorcycle in the 48 states. Every year I pick a different charity. It doesn't get a lot of publicity because I don't have a manager, I don't have an agent, I don't have a publicist. Last year through COVID, I rode with Leah Vendetta on the back for the entire ride. And we rode 11,000 miles and we raised $22,000 for the Alzheimer's Association. The year before that, I raised $2,000 for Stop Soldier Suicide. Ricky's Ride has raised over $100,000 for charity. Every penny goes to charity. The rides cost me a fortune. If somebody says, I'll give you $100 for gas, I will put that money to the charities. I've never taken a dollar for it. And people didn't really talk about it. And I didn't do it for fame. I did it because I love riding. I mean, I'll always ride. And it just started costing me so much money. And then it's like, hey, so-and-so is doing this charity ride for cancer. They raised $10,000 and they're in every magazine. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm the only biker out there riding. I've ridden more miles than anybody in rock and roll, with the exception of Neil Peart. And because I don't have a publicist, I don't want to pay for a publicist. I'd rather give the money to charity. Nobody ever talked about it. I have a great place called the I can't believe I used the word fan, that people would meet me at every stop, and I had the greatest time. And it just became too tough. You know, Leah is a tattoo artist, and she'd have to take off work for 2 months. So all of a sudden, we're like spending a lot of money and not taking any of the money for our expenses. So it got to be very, very expensive. And I think it would have been a great TV show. Another one of those things. I sound like I'm bitter and whining all the time. But, you know, we rode everywhere in America. We went to any place people told us to go, and had, you know, one day we're at Wrigley Field backstage with the Foo Fighters. The next day we're in Hank Williams' child boy house. The next day we're caught in a hailstorm. I mean, it was so fun. I will always do them. But this year I'm not going to do a Ricky's Ride for charity, or, you know, I'm just going to go ride. You know, probably, I think a month on bike week, if I decide it's the healthy situation.
Right. Cool.
Right. Well, Ricky, one of the refreshing things is that you don't do rock and roll and heavy metal for money. You do this because you love it. And I think it's a shame that, like, a great idea like the Cat House Tour kind of was messed up by money. And, you know, I know that's just how it is nowadays. Everybody's fighting with everybody else about, you know, their slot or this and that. But it's nice to talk to you. And I can tell that you're not doing this or anything you do in regards to heavy metal or rock and roll for money. You're doing it because it's something you like, and you were there from the beginning. So I love that about you.
But don't get me wrong, I'm a whore and will do anything for money. So please, I have the tastes. I like to buy expensive things. I'm blessed that I have a couple good jobs. But when, you know, when we were discussing with these other people about me doing the ball, this live show, I never ever mentioned money, which is interesting because neither did they. But I have a job to get paid, and if I did, you know, I'm sure I'd do a lot more Cat House Hollywood podcasts if I was getting paid. But, you know, the editing, which I do and I'm not very good at, and the writing, that's a hassle. But when I record it, I really enjoy doing it. Like me doing this with you guys right now, this is fun. Like, I like doing this kind of stuff. So yeah,
Thanks,
you know,
we love it too.
I love listening to albums. I love music. I miss going to shows. I love walking into a venue, seeing a band that I've never seen before and going, holy, and then going out and buying their album. I like getting turned on to new bands. I like, you know, I am that guy that loves getting music and then turning my friends onto it. A lot of, with the exception of maybe Ace Von Johnson, a lot of people don't listen to the same music that I do because I listen to either really heavy stuff and I love old punk rock, and I can talk to Ace about, we like the same bands, but the ball isn't going to be that. The ball is going to be, the type of bands that I think, like I said earlier, it's not Ricky's show. Ricky's show would be, who knows.
Right on. Well, we're looking forward to that, Ricky, and we really appreciate you taking some time to hang with us. Two people asked me to say hello to you. My wife, Emily, who you sent a bunch of Cat House t-shirts to probably 2-3 years ago, and she appreciated that. So she says hi. Eva New, friend of John and I, and she says hi. She worked on the ball with you back in the day. So two hellos to Ricky.
Eva is the people that I worked with on Headbangers Ball, I mean, I know my ego must have been freaking, because remember, I'm the guy living in an apartment with Tammy, and now I'm hosting Headbangers Ball that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And Eva and Nancy had to deal with me going all over the world with all my drama with ex-girlfriends and all this stuff. And it was incredible. My God, what a soap opera.
I love it. You said that they saw you freak out. I mean, totally rock and roll. That's how it should be. You can't just walk in there and like with a suit and tie and be normal. You had to have drama. That made it cooler, I think.
But there were a couple years that I think I got, like, I've seen shows that I've done in interviews, and I was like, who is that guy? Like, I know now I'm a more positive person. I'm more of a, look, you like this, you voted for this, you did this. That's all right. Just don't be a dick, Right. And I try positive stuff without being preachy. But I know, like, I was a little bit of a prick sometimes, and I know that. And
good stuff. Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us, and let's get you back here before another 14 years pass.
And say hello to Ricky Warwick, who is just the greatest.
Awesome.
We will do for sure, Ricky. Thank you so much for taking the time out to hang with us, and we hope to have you back soon.
Michael fucking McDonald.
And we are going to be watching the ball, and we're going to stay tuned for the announcement, and we'll let all our listeners and viewers know that that's where they got to tune in.
They better. Somebody better.
All right.
Awesome, Ricky. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you for your time. Cool. Ricky Rackman. Wow. Very, very cool. So down to earth, John. I mean, you feel like you're talking to somebody that we've known.
Yeah, I know.
Which we've known him. I mean, because we experienced him on TV, on radio, but he doesn't really know us that well. But yet, he still is so personable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love hearing Ricky Rackman, like God of Headbangers Ball, go, hey, I like being on Talking Metal. How cool is that? That's so cool.
Yeah. You know what? I want to see Ricky connect with Axl again. I think that would be
great.
Really,
yeah,
really cool.
I'm really hoping that things work out for Ricky in New Zealand, and that all comes together nicely. Now, hey, here's the thing, Mark. Before we bring Alex on, I am, I want to check to see if this is playing on my Facebook page. I know I have so many Facebook pages. Can we verify that? I don't know. I turned one of my computers off so I get a smoother connection. My whole connection's breaking up, and it's it's taking me out of the vibe. So I want to take a couple of seconds to see if this works. I'm even thinking of hanging up and logging in with a different browser. I hate this technical talk, but it's not working for me today.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on your page looking.
See, I'd like to keep Mark on. Hey, Mark, is there any way that you can talk to everybody for about 2 minutes while I log off and log back on?
Yeah. I don't see it on your Facebook page. But
here's the thing, guys. I have a feeling, and this is okay if this is going, I know we're going out live here. I have a feeling that maybe you guys are broadcasting this on the John Astronomy artist page and not the one that I advertise that we normally broadcast on, which is facebook.com/John Astronomy. Because unfortunately, that's where I told people to go. And I have a feeling it's not broadcasting on there. So they might think that, this is not, that there's a mistake. Either that or my, I'm just having computer problems. So it's one of those. But regardless of that, what I'd like to do is log off and then log back on. So Mark, why don't you keep
cool.
Why don't
Yeah,
you keep?
I
No,
don't. I
Mark. I
don't.
want
I'm
Mark
on
to
your
keep
page
talking.
now, John. I don't actually see it, but who
Yeah.
knows? But yeah. So, guys, I did want to remind everybody that we really, really need you guys to log on to us via the Apple Podcast app and hit subscribe, leave a review, leave a 5-star review. That is helpful. It gets our name going in the algorithms of Apple Podcasts. So please consider doing that for us. Also, our YouTube page is youtube.com/talking metal. And there is a Patreon page, which I have. If you want to support me, it is patreon.com. Just go search Mark Striegel or Talking Metal and you'll find it. And I do bonus podcasts on that Patreon page. So for as little as $2 a month, you can get a bonus podcast every week on Patreon. Now, other ways you can support, guys, are using the Amazon links. You can find those at talkingmetal.com in the show notes for the podcast episodes. They're also available on markstriegel.net, which is my new website, markstrigl.net. So on that site, there's the PayPal tab, there's the Patreon tab, and there are the Amazon links, which again work for anyone who is going to be shopping on Amazon within the US, the UK, or Canada. It's just one additional step. There's no markup or anything like that on the products. You just link through us to Amazon, and for some strange reason, Amazon gives us a very little kickback for every dollar you spend on Amazon when you click through our links. So that's that. I did want to mention the Dash vodka again, which maybe I'll. I didn't want to drink in front of Ricky because I know he's not a drinker, but it sounds like he's cool with it. You know, it's weird. Sometimes sober people, which I totally respect, have great respect for, but sometimes there's certain of them that don't want to be around or hang around people who are drinking, and there's others who don't care. So I try to respect that when I'm with somebody who does not drink. And I'm just gonna start with a beer. I think usually I don't drink on Thursdays, but it's like Wednesday is the hump day. I go I have some drinks that day, and generally weekends. But hey, it's a special time. We are doing a live stream here with Talking Metal. Cheers, guys. Yeah, I usually drink the IPAs. Tonight it's just a Miller. So good stuff. Yeah. So we got Alex Grossi coming up, and I tell you, this guy has a long history, which we're going to talk to him about. But man, he played on one of my favorite records from 2020, and I didn't even know this until he told me in an email. So we'll talk to him about that. A really critically acclaimed record, by the way. All the critics thought it was great, including myself. Not a metal record in any stretch of the imagination, but still an aggressive and powerful record. So we're going to talk to Alex about that coming up real soon. It'll be a quick chat with him, and then another quick chat with Ricky Warwick, who is, as Ricky Rackman mentioned, from the Almighty and Black Star Riders, a great band that did include Damon Johnson for a while. That Damon's now left, and Ricky is continuing on with Black Star Riders, and he's got just an amazing solo record that's going to be dropping soon. So stay tuned for both of those guys. And of course, Alex Grossi, also known for his work with Quiet Riot and Hookers and Blow, amongst many other things. So we will be talking with them coming up on the podcast. It seems like I'm getting closer and closer to finally, I probably shouldn't say it. They say not to say things until they happen, but I'm going to say it right here. Looks like we're getting closer to locking in Alice Cooper. Fingers crossed. I don't think he's going to come. I wanted to have him on the live stream where you guys could see him. He doesn't sound like he wants to do that. It sounds like it's going to be a phoner or nothing, which is cool. When Alice offers you an interview, you take it. So we're going to, fingers crossed, hopefully be getting an Alice Cooper interview very soon. And hopefully we'll have Alex Grossi here joining us shortly. Trying to think of what else is going on in the world of rock. There is of course, my new podcast. You guys should check that out. Talking with Mark Striegel. What I'm doing on this podcast is interviewing anybody I find interesting. And that includes people who maybe aren't hard rock or quote unquote heavy metal. So I'm going to interview some classic rockers. I'm going to interview some alternative rockers. I'm going to interview comic book writers. I'm going to interview a cast member of The Walking Dead, or I should say, I did interview a cast member of The Walking Dead. A guy who builds guitars, a guy who is into physical fitness. You know, kind of stuff that I find interesting, and people that I find interesting. So it's in a lot of ways a very personable show, personal show. I hope it's personable too, but it's a personal show. And again, nothing is off limits there. I mean, some of the topics I'm trying to stay to are rock, Star Wars, mental and physical health, guitars. But that again is the Talking with Mark Striegel podcast, which is available everywhere, including Spotify, where Talking Metal is currently banned. So, John, you're back. What's going on? Can you hear me?
I'm back. I don't know what's going on today. I'm the guy with the room with 50 computers and 18 screens, and somehow nothing's working right for me today. Everything seems like it's on slow speed. I have the best internet that you could buy. I don't know if something's happening in my neighborhood that's causing some difficulty or what. And it's just frustrating. And I still can't confirm whether or not this is on my main Facebook page, but everybody says it seems to be. But I don't know. You went to my Facebook and you didn't seem to see it, did you?
I didn't. Yeah, I don't know where do you see it on Facebook? I don't.
Yeah, but I don't like Spinal Tap says, I don't want it to affect the show, you know. So, but anyway, hey, the interview with Ricky Rackman was great. Whether or not that I was perfectly clear or I was having technical difficulties, I don't know. Maybe my Facebook is screwed up, but I have no idea what's going on. But it doesn't seem like nothing's working right for me today. But I'm not sure why. But I mean, how do I look to you?
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. Yeah, looks great. Yeah, really? Lighting looks great. I like the darker lighting.
Type of a problem wherever. Yeah. I mean, my sound is coming in and out. There's like 20 different issues today. But like I said, I don't want it to affect the show. I guess I just had one of those very busy days. Worked hard today. A lot going on, and I think the interview with Ricky was great, and I'm looking forward to seeing Alex, who's on standby here, and then talking to Ricky Warwick. So that. It's going to be a great show, and then we'll work out all these details after the fact. But maybe I should have showed up to that production meeting yesterday. But
yeah,
anyway.
I don't. I'm just.
You don't see it, do you?
All right. Well, whenever. Yeah, we can. I'll edit this and clean this up in the repost on YouTube.
Yeah.
So let's. I guess whenever he's ready, are you ready to talk with Alex, John?
I am absolutely ready to talk with Alex, and we'll.
All right.
Up later.
We're gonna bring in Alex Grossi of Quiet Riot and Hookers and Blow, and I want to once he's in here. Hear about how you guys know each other. There he is. Alex, how are you?
There he is. Alex, how are you, brother?
I'm good. Hey, buddy, how you doing? I can't see
We're
you.
Doing good, Alex. How do you guys know each other? John and Alex, how do you guys know each other?
Me and John?
Yeah.
Basically, I've met John a million times over the years usually through Ace Frehley. And I actually know him through another good friend of mine I made a couple of years ago named Delilah, who was on tour during Merch.
Absolutely.
For the Dead Daisies. Yeah. I can't see you guys, by the way. I can't. Am I doing something wrong?
Maybe it's
how you have it. There we go. There we go.
Technical team. Stand by.
Yeah. Oh, he's got it now. So,
There we are. All right.
so Alex, I want to talk to you about Quiet
Alex,
Riot
great to see you, and
Blow and
yeah, and
everything
Scott.
that you have. I want to talk to you about everything you have going on in the rock world. But first, you just emailed me earlier, and I had no idea. One of my favorite records of 2020 is by Public Enemy. What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down? I mean, so many great songs. You play on Yesterday, man?
No, I only played on the title track.
Oh, okay.
The
Well,
one track
it's
that I'm
such a
on. Yeah,
great record, man. So many just incredible songs on that.
it really
How did that
is.
come
It
about?
really
How
is.
did you hook up with Public Enemy? I mean, the reviews of the record are insane. The critics love it.
Yeah, well, I live out here in Las Vegas, which is where Flavor Flav also lives. We're almost neighbors. And for his 60th birthday party, I got invited to put together like an all-star band to play that song "Bring the Noise" that they did with Anthrax back in the day.
Sure.
And we just became friends. We go bowling all the time. And when he was making about a year ago, he mentioned he was in the studio, and he's like, "I want to get you in on some tracks." And I went down that day. They were doing that song, and laid some parts down on it. But I gotta say, the coolest thing I've probably ever been a part of, non rock and roll, was seeing the process of how those guys work. I mean, you don't realize how Chuck D and Public Enemy, or Chuck D and Flavor Flav together completely make that sound. If you remove one of them, it's not. It's really really interesting. And when Flav was about to do his vocals on that track, he looked at me. He goes, "Yo, Alex, I'm about to put the milk on this cereal." I go, "The milk?" I go, "Excuse me." He goes, "Yo, you don't want no cereal without milk, right?" I go, yeah. He goes, "I'm putting the milk on." And I shit you not, he went in the vocal booth, did about 3 runs through, and it went from sounding like a cool Chuck D track to Public Enemy. Like, it was astonishing. It was great. So he is the milk of their cereal. So yeah, it all makes sense now.
Right on, right on. Great stuff.
I love it.
And I did not to bring up a sad note right at the beginning here, but it has been about 5 months since we lost the great Frankie Benelli, and
Yes.
just a guy whose drum sound was so unique and distinct, with Quiet Riot and Wasp and everything else he did, even Billy Idol. I wanted to talk to you about what the future is of Quiet Riot, because it sounds like, from what I was reading, there may be some tracks on the way that we'll get to hear Frankie one more time. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. I mean, Frankie, we were always recording. We were always working on new music. And yeah, there's a lot of tracks in the vault that were being worked on. We're a rock band. We always have stuff going on. And yes, there will definitely be new music by Quiet Riot, and it will be about Frankie on drums. Yep.
Wow, great stuff.
And it wasn't like
That's amazing.
we planned it or anything. It's like I said, most of the time you're always working and recording ideas. And Frankie loved to play drums. He was always recording stuff. So, we're trying to figure out exactly what to do. I mean, it's such a weird time with the pandemic right now, and we do have some tour dates coming up. To kind of wipe the cobwebs off. But I would definitely, next few months, so there'll probably be some more solid news on that front for sure.
Right, and I know the answer to this, but I just want you to tell us who now is officially in Quiet Riot. Can you run down the lineup for us?
Well, officially in Quiet Riot, it's myself on guitar, Chuck Wright on bass, Jizzy Pearl is back on vocals, and we have Johnny Kelly on drums. And I guess he's officially our drummer. I mean, we haven't, really. He just came in, and he's been playing drums ever since. He doesn't see. Listen, I'm not letting him go anywhere. How's that for an answer? I'm not letting him leave.
I love it. Yeah. Alex, now how did you get John Kelly? Because I always think of John as a New Yorker, but is he out by you, or did you know him? How did that come about?
I met John in New York. We were doing a Hookers and Blow run, and we needed a drummer on the East Coast, and Dizzy recommended him. And he's been in the band with Hookers and Blow for like 8 years. And when Frankie first got sick, the very first show he was unable to do due to because of his health was in Dallas, Texas. Johnny had just moved to Dallas, so the show's on a Friday. I get a call from Frankie on Monday going, "We have a show on Friday." And at this point, we didn't know how sick he was. He goes, "I don't think I can make it. Do you know any drummers that can get to Texas and know the set by Friday?" And I go, "John Kelly." And Frankie love Johnny. They were
Right.
friends. They play a lot the same. And I said, well, he goes, that's perfect. So I called Johnny. I go, can you learn 10 Quiet Riot songs in a week and be there on Friday with no sound check and no rehearsal and go and play in front of 10,000 people? And Johnny goes, okay. That was it.
Yeah.
And
I love it. I love it.
He really saved our ass. Thank God it was in Dallas. And Johnny's such a pro, and he's definitely the right guy for a lot of reasons. Because I mean, he's East Coast. He hits hard. He's not one of those guys that's in a gazillion bands, mercenary drummer that'll play in any band for $1. Even though he's been in a lot of bands, he's not one of those guys. And we all know here who we're talking about. And he's just he's a great friend, and he's a hardworking guy, and he's family to me. And Frankie said that's definitely that's the guy if he wants to do it. And like I said, he hasn't left yet, and I'm not letting him leave. So that's it.
Right on. I did want to.
And I think you should not let him leave.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you know what,
anywhere.
Mark, go ahead. But
Yeah, Alex, I
Go
did
ahead,
want to
Mark.
say that 2019, the M3 festival, I walked out of that 3-day festival and I said to my wife,
Yeah.
my favorite set of the entire weekend was Quiet Riot. I mean, that was
Really?
something about that.
Really?
Yeah, I swear to God, something about that set you guys delivered in front of that crowd. I don't know. It was just, it really moved me, and it's such a great memory.
That was a very, very emotional set for us because that's what we at that point, Frankie knew that was going to be his last show for maybe forever.
Right.
That was his last show, and then Johnny came in, and we all kind of knew it, and he was hurting. I mean, he had a tube sticking out of him. No one knew. I mean, we really covered it up. But he went out there, and the thing with Frankie, and I always said this to him, he got done playing, and by the end of the set, he was really weak from. I mean, the doctor told him you should not go, and one thing about Frankie Banali, you tell him not to, he's going to do it twice. So he went out and did the set, and after the show, he looked at me and he goes, "You stay strong for me, dude. This is I'm hurting," and I said, "Even 20% of you is better than 100% of most drummers. So great show, my friend." And yeah, that was a heavy day for sure. But yeah, we went out there swinging. It's what we do. Even when Kevin was alive too, Kevin was always, no matter how small the crowd was or how internally the band was cranky or tired or hungover or whatever, he went out and gave it 100%. So that's always been sort of the QR thing. They never mail it in. Never.
Right on. John?
No doubt about it. And what a great story. What a great story. And hey, before we get back into metal, Alex, I just want to talk about something, and I want to congratulate you on something that happened maybe about a month or two ago, your engagement.
I got engaged to my girlfriend, Tammy. Yes. Yeah, she's great. We live together out here in Vegas, been together about 4 or 5 years. And she's like my best friend in the world. And
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It.
This pandemic has shown a lot of couples a lot of things I've seen. I've also seen a lot of people that are getting divorces now.
Yeah, no doubt.
You kind of get to see if you can really deal with it. And we became tighter and closer and got our relationship together. And there's definitely no one else I want to be with after going through this with her. So yeah, we're very happy. Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. And it's been such a difficult year, and I'm really happy to hear that something that positive came out of a really difficult year in so many ways.
Yeah. Everything's what you make it, and it's when this whole thing went down, a lot of musicians started to really freak out, and not because we all lost our jobs at once, and it's just got to always look at the glass half full. I mean, we don't have a choice, So yes, I'm glad the stars aligned the way they did, and we a lot of positive have come out of it for sure.
Absolutely. And another positive thing that happened this year was we got some new Hookers and Blow cover songs, one of them with Frankie. Is there more of this coming down the pike? More cover songs that Hookers and Blow might be releasing to us?
Yes. In May, we're releasing an entire record, also 12 full record, full length vinyl and everything, limited edition vinyl. And it's all covers, obviously, and it's gonna be really, really, really cool. We went all out on it. I mean, Disney and I we went way over budget, but it's like our little baby, that band, And we have some great players on it. but yeah, it's coming out on Golden Robot Records. I believe May 21st, I think is the date. We're actually just starting to put together the artwork for it and special thanks. And I mean, the great thing about that band is there's no rules. I mean, we're called Hookers and Blow. We don't write music. And I mean, the worse we act, the worse our behavior is, the better people treat us for some reason. So we have a lot of fun with it.
Cool. Well, John, we're gonna probably have to wrap up in about 5 minutes with Alex, but I had a couple more. Do you have anything you want to ask Alex?
Well, Mark, why don't you go ahead, because I know that my whole notes went down, Alex. So I apologize, but I know Mark has everything together. So Mark, you go, and then I'll come in.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, what's going on with Operation Pipe Dreamers? Can you tell us what that is? What it's all about?
Oh, that actually came about very quickly last week. It's a new reality show. Like, it's kind of like a competition show. It's on for Netflix. It's produced by Tommy Chong, and it's glass blowing competition to make these really high end, exquisite bongs, basically.
Oh wow!
And one of the episodes, the theme is music, and they wanted a rock guy to come in and give my artistic point of view as far as how could they express music through a bong. That's pretty much the gist of it. But it's amazing what these guys do. You know?
Right. And where's that? Is that on a certain television channel or outlet?
I think it's going to be. I think it's a Netflix deal. I think it's a Netflix thing. They were shooting out here in Vegas, and the original quote rock star they had booked ended up in rehab, so they called me last minute.
Okay.
But it's really, I didn't know what to expect, but it's really cool.
Cool. Cannot wait to see that. And
that sounds great, Alex.
You do some behind the scenes work too with bands, booking them, or at least I know you're still doing that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, when they start booking shows again, yeah.
That was my question. When do you think we're going to start to see tours return? Are we looking at this summer?
Okay, from what I've seen, and I see it before most people because of what I do, I'm seeing the venues that can pull off the 25% or 35% capacity and make a profit are going to those shows are going to play, and they're going to play in the certain states that will allow them to play. As far as full blown tours, I don't see how it's possible. Like a 30 city bus tour with every date in a row. I don't know, because every state has different laws and different ordinances you have to follow, and it's hard to be hard to route a tour. But it's going to come back. You're going to see a lot of shows play this summer now that people have gotten the distancing down. And like when I shot this TV show, the pipe thing the other day, they had it down, man. I mean, it was super sterilized. Everyone had masks on. They had it figured out. Back in March when it first happened, people didn't know. I mean, they literally built the plane mid-flight with this whole thing. Now, I think with venues following the rules, and if the fans follow the rules, and the dollars and cents make sense, you'll see some. You're not going to see everything come back right away. No, I mean, I highly doubt that Motley Crue thing will happen. I really don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, that's disappointing.
But, yeah, I mean,
because that happens in
Go ahead,
John. Oh, John, you.
Yeah,
so
Alex, I wanted to say, and I'm sorry about the technical difficulties that we're having with sound cutting in and out and a little bit of a delay, so I apologize for that. But Alex, I want to give a shout out to Delilah for being such a great friend to both me and to you guys, and I also want to say that one of the stories, and this wasn't the last time I was in Vegas, but there was a night that you and I hung out at Brooklyn Bowl, Vegas. Ace was playing, and I just had such a great time, and I love it out there, Alex. So the next time I'm in Vegas, we got to, we'll take COVID into consideration, but we definitely got to hang out again.
That was such a great night. I remember being at the bar with Coogan and Chris Wise, and I was backstage, and I saw you on your day sheet the bus call time, 2:15 a.m., and it's like 2:25. And I'm like, hey, Scott. He's like, what? I go, you're 10 minutes late for bus call.
Yeah.
What? I go, Chris, it's in me. It's what I do. I'm always in road manager mode. And I'm like, I go to my girlfriend. I go, did I just yell at them to get on their bus? I mean, really? But yeah, that was a great night. That was a lot of fun.
So, Alex, when do you think we might hear new Quiet Riot?
And Alex,
what's that?
Alex, when do you think we might hear new Quiet Riot music?
I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, it's a work in progress, and again, a lot of it has to do with when the world opens back up and everything, because it's not. It's a really weird decision to put out music when you can't tour on it, and tour on it for real, and and also make sure it's done right. I mean, we want to make sure everything it's the right time, everything's done right. I mean, we've had to miss a lot of, I mean, we really haven't had a ceremony for Frankie yet because of COVID. I mean, everything's been
Right.
so locked down. There's still a lot to be done as far as closure goes and whatnot, but we're making the best of it. And Frankie's wife, Regina's sort of taken over everything and doing an absolutely amazing job. She's like really, really good at what she does. So it's a tight knit family, and I think it's going to be done very, very well so far based on what I've seen. So very excited, and I'm really glad I'm really glad we're continuing. I'm really glad because I know Frankie, that was his baby.
Yeah, me too. Me too, for sure.
And that was something that you discussed with Frankie. I imagine that would have been a difficult conversation.
Well, it was never flat out discussed, but he just kept accepting dates, and he told me, he goes, look, when I can't play, the band can do, the trademarks sewn up, this and that. It was always just business as usual, like it's going to keep going, and yeah, it was, he wanted to. I mean, let me put it to you this way: one of the last conversations we had, he emailed me and said about a show that was booked for like August of 2021. He said something like, I won't be there, but you're playing in Wyoming on the 21st of August, so something like that. It's like kind of making a little joke about it, but I mean,
Wow.
he handled it so bravely and so well. I mean, it's really, I mean, I don't know too many guys that could have fought the way he fought that thing. I mean, he gave it a run for it. So, I mean, really did. The kind of cancer he had was gnarly, dude. I mean, he was stage 4 pancreatic is no joke, and he was given 3 to 6 months to live, and he did 18 months.
Wow.
I mean, and he was still playing drums after 12 months.
Wow.
Still banging on the drums. Amazing.
Right on. Well, Alex, it's great connecting with you here. Where's the best place people can get in touch with you online?
I'm on Instagram. It's Alex Grossi 1976, and I have a couple Facebook pages too. So, I mean, I'm on there everywhere. Like Twitter, Facebook. I don't know. You'll find me.
Right on. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Alex.
Great.
And we look forward to seeing you back on the road with Hookers and Blow and Quiet Riot. Hopefully this year.
Yes. Actually, we have a show in New Jersey.
Absolutely.
In March.
Okay.
Well, we'll be there. Well,
Yeah, March.
Alex, we'll definitely be at that gig no matter what. I will for sure.
It's in Vineland, New Jersey, March 6th at the Landis Theater.
Okay. Cool.
So,
Nice. Well, Alex, looking forward to it. And again, Alex, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. You've always been such a great dude, and we will see you soon. And you got to come back on again.
absolutely, guys. Take rock and roll. Be
All right.
safe, and hopefully I'll see you in March.
Yep. Sounds good, Alex.
Cool.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All right, guys. Alex
Bye-bye.
Grossi of Quiet Riot and Hookers
Yeah,
and Blow.
what a great guy. Alex Grossi, one of the nicest musicians.
Yeah, and to round things off tonight, we have a great guest coming up right now, RIKI Warwick, who has played with so many great bands, the Almighty, Black Star Riders, the list goes on and on. He's got a great new solo record coming out shortly, so let's bring him on and talk to him about that.
Hey
There
guys,
he is. Hey, RIKI, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
RIKI, nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
You're doing
Keeping
great,
well?
man. And let me say, yeah, how you making out during this difficult year?
I'm doing okay, thank you. Doing okay, roof over my head, food in the fridge, everybody's well, so I'm blessed.
Cool. And you're staying busy, it sounds like, with some great new music. The album is coming out next week. When Life Was Hard and Fast. This is just a great record. I mean, the songwriting is incredible.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you about that. But first, let's talk about who's playing on the record with you. The basic band, not the special guests.
Sure. Well, the Meat and Potatoes band that we actually recorded the band with is myself on guitar, vocals. Keith Nelson, who people know from his Buck Cherry days. He co-produced and co-wrote the record with me. And then we've got Xavier Muriel on drums. Xavier was in Buck Cherry for a while too. And then on bass guitar, we got Robbie Crane. from Black Star Riders.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cool. And like I said, these
Nice.
songs, they're so well crafted. They go different places. And I mean, you've always been such a great songwriter, and you continue
you.
that tradition with
Thanks.
this record. How did it come about, you being a songwriter? Is it something you developed? Were there skills that you had to study? Or is it just something that naturally comes out of you? I'm always fascinated by songwriting. Some people say, "Oh, it just came right out." Others people tell me, "Oh, we worked on this song for a year." So how
Sure.
is songwriting for you as a craft?
As a kid, I was never drawn to the lead guitar player. It was the songs, it was the riffs, what made the overall sound of the song. Why did it sound like that? What was the structure? Why was he saying that? Why do those words rhyme? That's what fascinated me, and I was instantly drawn to that. So when I learned guitar and started really taking guitar seriously, as soon as I had 3 or 4 chords, I started writing. I was off. I was just writing. I just wanted to write. I mean, I'd always sort of kept diaries as a kid and wrote poetry as a kid and sort of kept it to myself. And then suddenly, when I had the guitar, suddenly here was this extension of my soul that I could get these words out with music. And it was just wonderful. And, as I progressed and got older, you start really analyzing the great singer-songwriters out there, or the great writers. So for me, it was obviously Phil and Thin Lizzy. It was Joe Strummer in the Clash. It was Springsteen. It was Dylan. It was people with something to say, people that were writing stuff that made a difference. For me, growing up in Belfast, there was a lot of punk bands like Stiff Little Fingers that would write about the troubles in Belfast, which was relative to me as a kid at that time. So I completely just tapped into all that.
Very cool. And we have some special guests that are quite impressive. Let's start with Andy Taylor of Power Station, Duran Duran
Sure.
fame. How long have you known Andy, and what is he doing on the record?
I've known Andy for about 30 years. Andy produced the second Almighty album way back in 1991, and we became friends, and we've stayed in touch. Andy took some time out to see his family grow up. He lives in the island of Ibiza, and he hit me up about 3 or 4 years ago, and he started writing again, and he's made a solo record, and I co-wrote 6 of the songs on the solo record with him, which is coming out later this year.
Oh,
And
cool.
he's just been a great friend. He's a great writer, great guitar player, great singer. And so we were making the record. I was getting the ideas together for when life was hard and fast, and I said, "Look, man, you got to return the favor. You got to play some guitar on one of my songs." And he said, "Send it over," and I did. And he just ripped out this killer solo on the track "I'd Rather Be Hit." And he's just a good dude, man. He's a rock and roller. He's one of us. His favorite band's AC/DC. People get this misconception, oh, he's the new romantic Jude and Duran Duran. Andy's so much more than that. So much more than that.
Yeah, and you could always hear that in his guitar playing. I mean, even if you go back and look at Power Station, or what was that, his first solo record, Thunder, I think.
Thunder, yeah. Great record. Yeah, really cool.
Good stuff. Joe Elliott, a guy you've worked with before, and I believe you've had a long time friendship with. He's involved with the record. Can you talk about that involvement?
Yeah, Joe's, again, somebody I've known a long time. I was even best man at Joe's wedding. He's a great friend of me. He's my mentor. He's my bro. He produced the first 2 solo RIKI Warwick records. Listen, you're not going to argue with a guy that sold 150 million albums, so he's my sounding board. So when I'm working on something, I'll send him it over and go, "What do you think?" And he's always brutally honest with me, and that's what I love about Joe. I don't always agree with his opinion, but I know I'm going to get a real honest opinion out of him. And he's just been a great supporter of mine and a great friend over the years, and is always only too happy to help. And it's not even me going to Joe. It's me. Joe's like, "Is there anything you want me to sing on? Anything you need me to do?" He's that guy. And of course, when it's somebody like Joe Elliott with his experience and the notoriety he has, offers his services up, you're going to say yes every time.
Right on.
So, Ricky, I wanted to talk a little bit about your working relationship with Keith Nelson, who is not only a great guitar player, but he's a great songwriter, and he's great in the studio. And if you can add one more thing on top of that, he's got a collection of vintage Gibson guitars that I think is out of control. And I wanted to ask you about that. And so tell me a little bit about Keith and his guitars.
That's what swung it. I don't really like Keith. I just like his vintage guitars. It's a funny story. Indirectly, Damon Johnson, who I'm sure you guys know, Damon Johnson, he was in Brother Kane and obviously in Black Star Riders.
Yeah.
When Damon left Black Star Riders, we're looking for a guitar player, and Richard Fortas from Guns N' Roses, who's a good friend of mine, called me up and said, Keith Nelson's just left Buck Cherry. You should ask Keith. He's great. I think he'd really work out good for you guys. And I had never met Keith. This is 3 years ago. I'd never met him. But obviously I was aware of him and knew he was a great guitar player. So I got his number and I called him up, and we arranged to meet in Barney's Beanery in West Hollywood early in the morning. And Keith turned up and he walked in. He said, before we go any further, I just want to tell you, I'm not the guy for you. I'm not going to take this gig. And I was like, all right, well, what the hell are you doing here then? What? He said, look, I love the band. I love Black Star Riders. I'm done touring. That's one of the reasons I'm off. I left Buck Cherry. He said, but out of respect, I wanted to come and tell you face to face and the whole thing. So anyway, we get talking, and there's definitely some chemistry there. Both blue collar working class boys, a love of the same music, a love of the same rock and roll, a love of vintage guitars. And Keith said to me, look, I got a studio, I'm writing, I'm producing these days. Why don't you come over? Let's just work on a song, have some fun. And I did. And I went over and we actually wrote the song Fighting Heart, which is on the record. I took the demo home. I listened to the demo. Right. I was blown away. I called him up. I said, Keith, I got more than enough ideas to make a solo record. Would you co-produce it with me? Would you finish co-writing it with me? He said, let's go, let's do it. And that's where the whole thing got started. And, he's become one of my dearest friends now. And I love working with the guy because, like you said, he's a demon in the studio. He's a great songwriter, great guitar player. And we had so much fun making this record. So much fun.
Very good. And again, the record is When Life Was Hard and Fast by RIKI Warwick. Great stuff. I do want to ask you one other question about the album, but it just popped into my mind. One of the only interviews I've ever been to where the guy I was interviewing offered me a beer, and that was you when you were in New York City. We were at like a Midtown Manhattan, like hipster hotel, like Ace Hotel or something like that. I don't know if you
right.
Was that was like 5 years ago?
Was that for a Black Star Riders record?
Yeah, definitely.
You see, that's the Irish hospitality in me. I don't know why everybody doesn't do that. You've a guest come in somewhere, you offer them a drink. With me, it's always probably going to be alcoholic, but hey, you get, that's no bad thing, right?
Right on. Well, that definitely
I
is
love
a good
that.
way to win over the interviewer. But let's talk about the album cover, because there's an interesting image on the album cover. It looks. Tell me about that. It's like a crashed race car. Is that like an actual historic photo or scene?
Yeah, I'll try and condense this story down for you. It's a scene from a road race that happened in the late 20s and 30s in Ireland. It was called the Ards TT. It was huge. It was like a NASCAR Formula One race of its day. Obviously, those guys were just driving real primitive cars, 70, 80 miles an hour, but with no protection, with the old leather helmets and the goggles on. And it was a road race. So they were racing on civilian roads. And the race actually looped around the town that I grew up in. And that scene that you see right there is my grandfather's farm with all the spectators standing on one of his fields. He used to rent the fields out to the spectators to watch the race. And that crash scene is actually at the foot of one of those fields with the spectators watching it. And, my father remembers it because he was 4, 5, 6 years old when he was a kid. He would watch these races, and he told me the great stories about them. So I became infatuated with it. And then when we wrote When Life Was Hard and Fast, I thought, this ties the whole thing in, the whole imagery of those old races that are so close to my family and what my family grew up with. So it's a photograph that's got some family history in it, as well as just a great iconic image of how crazy those guys were,
Yeah, good stuff. And before we let you go, I definitely have to ask you how Scott Gorham is doing, and are any plans for any more Black Star Riders material?
Scott Gorham is bored out of his brains.
Is he? Okay.
He is. He's doing very well. He's locking down. Scott's a little bit older. He's missing everybody. He's over in London. That's where he lives. But I talked to him the other day. He's in good form. He's bored. He's ready to roll. He's ready to get back out there. We have written the next Black Star Riders album. It's done. It's demoed. We're just waiting for when it's safe that we can all come together and get into the studio, which will be here in LA with Jay Rustin again, and actually record the thing. So I'm hoping this summer we'll be able to get in and get it recorded.
Wow. Well, that's great news. That's great news. You've always delivered such great
Nice.
music with Black Star
Thank you.
Riders.
Thanks,
And
guys.
John, anything else before we let Ricky go?
Yeah, I got one more question. Yeah, I got one more question, and this is like my type of question, which there's only be a small amount of people who understand this. But Ricky, I have to ask you. So I'm
Go for it.
listening to "You Don't Love Me," and I'm thinking that this song is great, and I love it. And then when you hit the chorus, you go to what I think is a Motown influence beat where the snare is on all fours, and I went, man, when I just thought this song couldn't get any cooler, it got even cooler with that chorus figure. And where did
Wow,
that come
thank
from?
you. Man, well, you nailed it. Wow, that you nailed that. That's amazing, John. Thank you so much. Keith wrote the chord structure for that chorus. I wrote the verse, and then Keith came in with the chord structure for the chorus. And then I'm obsessed by Motown, and I'm obsessed with Northern Soul music. It's right up there with hard rock with me, my two favorite types of music. And if you listen to a song like Testify or Say Goodbye by Black Star Riders, that's hugely influenced by Motown and Northern Soul. The melodies and the playing and the backbeat and the feel of those songs, from the Wrecking Crew that played on a lot of that stuff, that what they have is just incredible. And I'm hugely influenced by it. And I'm going to admit it, I steal a lot of my melodies from old Motown stuff, and you crank up the guitars behind them. It's like, come on, what's not to like? So fair play to you for picking up on that. And it was totally meant, and we definitely went for that feel in that chorus, and again, kudos to Keith for coming up with such a great chord structure in the chorus, and kudos to you for recognizing it. Thank you.
Cool, and thank you, Ricky, for all the great
Thank
music.
you so much, Ricky. And we also got to tell you that, yeah,
and we are just thankful, and thanks for the beer. Appreciate it.
Next time,
yeah.
man.
And Ricky, we got to tell you that Ricky Rackman says hello. He was our first guest tonight, and he said, make sure you tell Ricky that I said hello.
Oh man, Ricky, I love him. Right back at him, man. I hope he told you the story about he was the first guy to bring the Almighty to play at the Cat Club in the Cat House in Hollywood.
Yeah,
Ricky brought us.
Yep.
Yeah, he brought us over right at the start of our career. So ever indebted to Ricky for that. But he's a great dude, as you guys know. He's killer.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Thank you,
No doubt
Ricky.
about
We appreciate your time, and we wish you all the best of luck. We can't wait to get you back here in the New Jersey, New York area. We're ready to rock.
Me too.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Be safe. Be well.
Absolutely, Ricky.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Thank you, Ricky. Take care, brother.
All right, John. Well,
man, he is so cool, Mark.
Yeah, good show tonight. Nonstop action. So the way it should be.
Yeah,
cool. John, let's remind people about your website, astronomy.net. Is still up there and rocking, right? Everything John has ever done is at astronomy.net.
Up until 2016, I haven't updated that website since 2016, but that's everything I've done from the beginning of time until 2016. And one of these days, I'm gonna create a new website, astronomy. Maybe it'll be Astronomy 2021. How about that?
There you go. Astronomy 2021. We hope you get back out there on the road with your band, Like It. Where can people connect with Like It online? Yeah.
So you can connect with Like It at like-it-online.com. So it's basically Like It Online with hyphens. So I say like-it-online.com. You can download or you can stream our songs on YouTube for free. And if you want your own digital MP4 or MP3 files, whatever they are, you can purchase them on the site and they get emailed to you. So, but you can just go on YouTube and listen to the stuff for free. And I designed a specific single cover for each of the songs. And I'll tell you the truth. I mean, the songs are great, but I have to say that I think these covers are really cool. So if you haven't yet seen the covers of the My Way and the Bump and Grind and the Mommy LSD is A-OK and the Doing It singles, check those out because they're meant to be a little bit funny, and I think they came out great. So check that out.
Very cool. Great songs. I've always been a fan of those songs. So definitely do yourself a favor. what is it?
Like dash it's like the band is called Like It. So and the website is Like It Online. So to spell it out, it's LAKE dash IT dash online.com.
Yeah, very simple, but for me, complicated. But yeah, cool. Well, we
No,
will
it's okay.
link.
You know what? We want to thank all the people that put the show together, and I just want to apologize for having some kind of internet problems, which is why I might have seemed slightly frustrated throughout the interview, and why sometimes we talk over each other because everything is coming at me at delays, and so I can see you talking, but then I don't hear it for a minute. And then when I don't hear you talking, I start talking, and then everybody's talking on top of each other. So but what we'll have to do is we'll figure it out for next time. And but we still want to thank everybody because having the crew with Marcy and Andrew and everybody, it makes this so much more fun, even when it doesn't go quite perfectly. And that's not their fault; it's my fault because I've got some kind of weird internet problem in my new place. So. We'll work on that for next time. So thanks for bearing with us. Thanks to Delilah for.
Yeah, I don't think it was that noticeable. I mean,
like one of the people that hooked. Okay, good.
I didn't notice it that much on my
Good,
end.
good, perfect.
Yeah, very good. Yeah,
Oh,
thanks
good.
to everyone that helped out with tonight, Marcy and Andrew and the whole gang. So we really appreciate your help, Sophia and everyone, JP. And that'll do it for tonight. We're gonna call it an evening and hopefully come back in 3-4 weeks. Maybe we'll be back with another one of these.
Absolutely. And you know what? The good news, guys, is that I believe that eventually, and maybe it was the whole time, this did pop up on my Facebook page, my main Facebook page. But I think there's a chance that it initially
Oh yeah,
aired
it's
in
up
its
there. I can see it.
entirety on one of my. Yeah, it's up there now, but I actually think only the last 30 minutes was up there. And I think that maybe like the first hour was on one of my other Facebook pages. And that is, whose fault is that? My fault, because I have 6 Facebook pages. So we'll get that right the next time too. And if you're tuning in on the main John Astronomy Facebook page, we will put a link to the full version of this. And then, of course, Mark will clean this up like he always does. And we'll put like a nice, perfect version out there on YouTube.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, it looks. I don't know. I'm seeing it on your Facebook page, but cool. All right, guys, that'll do it. We'll see you next time. Every Tuesday.
Okay, thanks everybody, and